One of the biggest shocks in the Mad Max franchise was when the characters reached the so-called Green Place, only to find it deserted. None of the attributes that Furiosa had mentioned could be seen anywhere. But the latest spin-off, Furiosa, just gave us a look at this land. It's undoubtedly the only haven-like place in the hell that is the wasteland of Mad Max. Since it's now a dead place, fans are left wondering if there will be a green place anymore. If you look at the details spread throughout the film, you'll notice that the Citadel could be converted into a new green place. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is Citadel in Mad Max franchise? In a world teeming with people desperate for survival and a glimmer of hope, the Citadel stands as a formidable fortress, its iron fist wielded by the ruthless Immortan Joe. Nestled amidst a cluster of 3 rocks, this piece of land is strategically positioned, sitting atop the most abundant source of fresh water. Only the elite live a life of satisfaction in this world, while the others are either war boys or people who crawl on the grounds surrounding the Citadel, seeking water from Immortan Joe. Even these people live at the mercy of Joe as he shows his power by pouring water over them when he deems it. And even though it might not be able to quench their thirst, he couldn't care less. It would be hard to miss this striking piece of land in the wasteland, but there's more than meets the eye when it comes to the wasteland. While the Citadel is on top of a comparatively clean water source, 2 other such lands hold the 2 different requirements for survival in this wasteland. The gas town holds the gasoline, and the bullet farm has all the bullets you need to fight off people ready to take your life for their survival. These 3 places form a triangle that Immortan Joe entirely rules, and the bullet farm leadership is given to Major Kalishnikov, and the People Eater holds Gas Town. Each of the Citadel's towers serve a different purpose, and the people living there are identified by their class. The upper-class Immortan Joe and his associates stay in the first tower, which has the water dispersion mechanism installed along with other structures like the milking factory. At the very top of this tower is the biodome, where Joe's wives are kept, and inside this place you get to see things considered lost, like musical instruments and books. As one said, ever since the apocalypse, people have left the book and realized that water, bullets, and gasoline are the only things required for survival. The second tower holds middle-class people, who might consist of people with skills valuable to the upper class of the Citadel, like the surgeon known as Organic Mechanic from both Fury Road and Furiosa. There's even a garden on top of the tower that is somehow irrigated by the water from the pipes. Finally, the third tower consists of the working class, the laborers, considered the lowest of the low because they're picked from the ground based on their usefulness. Inside the Citadel is a specific structure that makes it much more different from anything else in the vast wasteland. Let's break this entire structure into its components. The lift. Since the prominent people of the Citadel stay on top of the cluster of the 3 rocks, there's a means of bringing things up using a chain lift-like mechanism. Whenever there's a vehicle or something like that, or has the same weight, that's supposed to be brought up, this lift mechanism is utilized, and the war boys and the other laborers are tasked with pulling them up. Fans might have noticed that Furiosa had worked amongst these people, pulling vehicles up when she hid from Immortan Joe's sons in the film. Often the people from the ground try to cling to this platform like a lift system, but they're kicked off ruthlessly, ensuring that only those who matter get a chance to come up. Garages. After bringing the vehicles acquired by killing their owners, they're lifted and moved into the garage. The garage is where some of Immortan Joe's more important cars, including the war rig, have been made. This region of the Citadel is also the same place where Max's damaged car was being repaired, while he was held captive by the war boys. We did an extended shot of this region in Furiosa, when the new truck for gathering resources was being developed. Water supply. The center town, or the rock in the center where you enter the Citadel, serves as the pumping unit that uses manual labor using chains and wheels to pump water out of the reservoir, lying in the depths of the land. Many pips are heading out of this structure, which is a complex structure for distribution. The greenhouses of the Citadel are irrigated using this water as the vegetables are planted so that they're stacked along the large pipes. Many plants are growing in and around the pipes, but no one looks after the plants above or outside the towers. Milking and transfusion. Now we look at 2 of the most disturbing parts of this entire Citadel. One is the milking room, where a large number of women are kept, all of them obese, and they are milked. Yes, this serves as the food for the individuals of the Citadel, and there is a complicated pipe structure that connects their milk to the rest of the Citadel, as light bulbs are also used to light this place up. Another disturbing region is the blood transfusion part, where donors are held captive and strung upside down so that the war boys or any other individual of the Citadel who's injured can get blood. Max himself was a donor when he was held captive in the Citadel. One can see and understand that Immortan Joe had a plan for the Citadel, as it ended up being quite the attraction, and Dementus even lost his life trying to acquire it. There's a history associated with this structure too, as Immortan Joe had to fight for this place himself, and he managed to take it over and change it to this horror that hardly cared for life on the ground. However, throughout the Citadel, some places make it seem like the idea of a green place being developed here isn't entirely impossible. That would bring a certain habitable quality of life for the people apart from the upper class, and might result in harmony.
Furiosa! We've come too far.
What is Green Place? There's a myth of the paradise called the Green Place that had trees and plants and was full of life. This paradise was the very place from where Furiosa was taken, and she intended to bring the wives of Immortan Joe here so that their children could be born pure, far from the vile and horrific life that Joe would end up giving them. But by the time Furiosa could reach this land, it was entirely dead and reduced to the wasteland, with its dead tree in the sand. But we finally got to see this land, and it was precisely how Furiosa had described it to everyone in Mad Max Fury Road. We saw her grabbing apples with her sister from the trees, while others worked in the Green Place in the recent Mad Max film Furiosa. There was peace all around this land until the pirates managed to get in and grab some stuff along with Furiosa. Initially, the Vuvolini of many mothers inhabited Green Place, and this land allowed a wide variety of crops to grow. The purity of this land and the peace amongst the people here was the very reason the children born here were pureblood compared to other children born across the wasteland. But over time, something contaminated the land and made it uninhabitable with time as the crops died and the vegetation stopped growing. The settlers probably died or moved away along with the Vuvolini once it became clear that the land was ruined and slowly turning into the rest of the wasteland. Furiosa feels this loss as she has been waiting for years to get back to this land so that she can bring peace to the wives who were forced to raise their children for Immortan Joe. But she might have a whole new plan now that she's managed to take over the Citadel with the wives and they rule the land. What happened to Citadel after Mad Max Fury Road? Does it become a new Green Place? Throughout the story of Mad Max, there are numerous times when we witness that there's hardly any land to grow vegetation. This fact makes Green Place a unique concept and drives individuals toward it. But if you would have noticed, quite a lot of vegetation grows in the Citadel without help. Even though an irrigation system on the inside allows the growth of vegetables, plant life still sticks on the outside of the Citadel. When Dementus first arrived at the Citadel, he thought that it was the so-called Green Place because it had plant life, and according to what he had heard, water. Converting the Citadel into a new Green Place is not an absurd concept, but a possible reality. Upon discovering that Green Place didn't exist anymore, Furiosa and the other women wanted to follow the Vuvolini into the plains, salt flats that used to be the ocean. But Max is the one who prompts her to change the plan and head back to the Citadel so that they can drive through it using the war rig and make the canyons collapse. This plan does not come to fruition as they manage to take over the Citadel, and things might change with the women in control now. Furiosa might create her beloved Green Place again, when Max tries to convince them that it would be better to head back to the Citadel. It was one of the Vuvolini who mentions that it would be an ideal place for starting over. Remember that seed handed over to Furiosa in the latest film? There's more about where that came from. In Fury Road, we saw that one of the Vuvolini was the keeper of the seeds, and she had bonded with one of the wives, Dag. When Dag shared that she was pregnant with Joe's child, the old lady told her that there was hope that it might turn out to be a girl, and revealed the seeds in her possession and how to plant and fertilize them. Yes, this was George Miller dropping a significant plot detail, because later in the film we see that the old lady dies, but Dag keeps the seed with her so that she can continue the plan that the keeper of the seeds had. The wives of Furiosa probably rebuilt the entire Citadel, along with Corpus Colossus, into a society that must be a lot more egalitarian. However, not much is known about this society, except that we can depend on Furiosa to bring peace to this land of murder and pillage. Marvelous verdict. One of the most incredible things about George Miller's creation is his spread of details like literal seeds throughout the films. Each of the details gives a lot more than we would have asked for, and all these details are something we catch with every viewing of the movie. We might know the fate of the Citadel, but we can be sure that George Miller has a plan in his mind where the Citadel turns into the paradise that was the Green Place, and people get to eat and drink peacefully. Max may come back here for something in a future film from Miller, and then he might be helpful again for Furiosa. After all, who wouldn't want to see Furiosa and Max team up again? And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!